Well, good morning, and welcome to the second day of the Precision Agriculture edition of Crop Hour. I'm Connie Strunk. I'm a plant pathology field specialist with SDSU, and I will serve as your host today. It is my honor to introduce and talk to you about today's topic for Crop Hour. At SDSU, we have applied research and extension programs which focus on improving nitrogen use efficiency, sensor and data driven, and site specific fertilizer management, where we help producers make better and more profitable decisions. A couple of housekeeping things. If you have any questions at any point, feel free to drop them into the chat or the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen, and we'll address them at the end of today's presentation. And then just a quick reminder for those that are seeking CCA or Certified Crop Advisor credits, they are available. There will be a link available for you to click on to purchase those, as this year they're with a cost. Today's Crop Hour presentation will be recorded, just like all of the others, and will be posted on our YouTube channel and the SDSU Crop Hour page on our website. So with that, let's dive into today's presentation by Dr. Ali Nafchi, who is going to focus on smarter nitrogen application using crops as biosensor. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Dr. Nafchi.
Thank you. You have my screen shared and you can hear me, right?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much, and appreciate for attending this webinar. We are going to talk about a smarter nitrogen fertilization with crops as biosensors. We start with variation in field. This is obvious, and the fact that we have variations in our agriculture fields, soil texture, organic matter, nutrient supply, and moisture, which can change within a field, leading to measurable yield variations. By understanding the within field variabilities, we can move from uniform management to site-specific precision management. Addressing these variations enables a variable rate. Now here the case study, nitrogen and input applications targeting nutrient wear crop demand, and it allows to optimize the nitrogen applications, which can significantly improve nitrogen use efficiency, support higher yield and farm profits, and reduce nitrogen losses, leaching, and environmental impact. I have this slide to show the limiting factor is at the time can limit your production. So to having this one with better sense, I have example here. I have 8 tires of car, means for cars. I have 5 chassis, means the body. I have 5 engines. Now, if I ask you to make me 4-wheeler cars, how many cars can you make out of this material we have? You can make me only 2 cars. Why? Because the limiting factor is the number of tires. We have 8 tires, enough for only 2 cars. Even though we have more chassis and engine, it is not going to be used. So now if I increase the number of tires to 100 tires, now I see the limiting factor is tires. Oh, let's go and increase the number of tires to 100. How many cars can you make me now? The number is only 5. What about other tires is not used? Why? Because the limiting factor is chassis now or engine. Here, when crop growth is limited by a factor, for example, nitrogen, only additional nitrogen can improve the yield. So now, in this example barrel, if in left side, if the limiting factor is causing to have the maximum or potential yield we can have is 150 bushels, by adding nitrogen, we can increase it to 200 bushels. By adding more now, we are excited and we found what is limiting factor. So let's add more and add all the way to 500. So when we cross that limiting factor, the border of the limiting factor, it's just like you are adding tires. You cannot make more cars. You are adding nitrogen, no use. Because limiting factor is something else. Now, we have 5 R's of precision ag. You have heard 4 R's, but for reason, we have the 5th R. Right input, right amount, right place, right time, and right manner. Why we added right manner? Because we are designing new method to improve that 5R performance. So precision ag is all about creating zones, identify the similarities, put them, categorize them as zones, and manage each zone individually. How to do that? So again, find and identify the variations, create different zones, categorize the variations and create zones, and treat each zone individually. The method to do that, you know about the soil survey. Researchers, farmers, they use it. I would rather to use a more precise and updated method. Soil samplings. So we will discuss a little more in depth which one is better for us, or should we have all of them or some of them? Which one is going to help us more? Soil electrical conductivity, which is very quick, and with machines that we have, we can do that. Aerial imagery with drone or with satellite imagery is another method, and yield maps. Here, for yield maps, I would say the honest method to have and get idea and identify the soil variation is yield map. Why? Because not only about the soil variation, it will add everything, all the factors in account, and even with considering the interaction of all of those factors and mechanisms together, it will lead, calculate everything, lead to a number that is contributed or was contributed to yield. But the point is that number is good for that year. Next year, it will change. You will have different number. So, grade sampling. Let's go back. We, maybe 50, 60 years ago, we collect soil sample from a section. We collect, and the recommendation was collect from all around the field and mix them together. You should mix them well. Mix them together, and now you have a sample representing your section, your field. Send it to lab, you get some result, and you're happy that, wow, I did soil sampling. Later, with precision and understanding the variation, so we got to level that, you know what, 1 per section is probably not enough. Let's go, how about quarter? Let's have 4 samples. Okay, let's do it. Again, with precision ag, let's go 50. Let's go 100. Let's go every 10 acres now. Great sampling. How about 5 acres? And increasing this 1.5, 1 acre grid sampling. Some recommendation comes now, half an acre. Okay, when I have half of acre soil sampling result, can you write me an accurate and precise site-specific variable rate nitrogen map, prescription map that I apply? I am not worried about that wasting, over applying, or under applying some area. Can you do that? The answer is no. Why? Because I don't have all the controls. I know the static, all soil sampling data are static. What does that mean? That means that the information that we know it over time and it will not change, major change. And so this is one factor. Another factor is it's expensive. So to make it little reasonable, we can do management zone sampling. Even if we want to do grade sampling, we can go and have the grades on, let's say, on in this image on blue only, and collect sample and mix the sample of that grid which we are sure are on blue. So first we run a, let's say, EC, or somehow we create zones, and based on that zones we collect samples, and we don't mix different samples to avoid average down, average up of the representations. Electrical conductivity. We have 2 types of electrical conductivity machine or sensor. One is contact, another is electromagnetic, which is non-contact. Both will do a good job. Pros and cons are there for both of them. But we use electromagnetic. I used contact and this one, and I prefer the electromagnetic sensor. And if we do it correctly, we can get really good result. We get 2 types of readings. One is deep EC, 3 to 4 feet, and shallow, up to 20 inches, topsoil. And the interpretation of the difference between the shallow and deep will reveal so many information for you. And that how you are doing your cultivation and practice over time. And so again, soil data, EC, these are, I call them static. Static means these numbers are not, of course they will change, but not all of a sudden. They will remain and they are valid over time. What's the use of electrical conductivity or EC mapping? It has really good correlation with soil texture. The sensitivity of the readings, electrical conductivity readings, is to how to transmit electrical current or dumped by soil particle from electrical magnet or the flux. How we disturb that flux, it will show us how much salinity, how much electrolytes we have in soil. And that has really good correlation with percentage of clay and sand. So means with higher percentage of clay, you will have more electrolytes, closer and denser particles. You will have higher electrical conductivity with really good correlation. And with higher percentage of the sand, you will have lower electrical conductivity. That is obvious because you have lower electrolytes and coarser soil with higher void ratio. Yield maps and yield monitors. You look at this combine and you are familiar with yield monitors. Is the map behind the combine correct for yield? Probably not, or probably yes. That map is maybe showing the actual yield, but when you have the yield map, you don't get that type of yield map. The head of the combine is reading one number at a time, means across the head, regardless, this side of head, the yield is high, and this side is low. Regardless of that, you will get one number. It will average up, average down, and it will get one number. And as you move forward, you will have different numbers. And then extrapolation, you will have a mix map like that. But the problem here I want to address is not the yield monitors are doing not good job. The problem is inversion of the yield. So now, if you don't have yield map, we at SDSU develop a virtual yield mapping system that if you have the total bushel harvested, what one number, everybody has that one, how many bushel you sold, how much bushel you have. And based on the algorithm we developed, if you distribute this one over that map, you will get that the third map, which is estimated yield map. That means virtual yield mapping system. And if you compare it with actual yield map, the estimated yield map is way better than actual yield map. Why? Because you don't have that a straight line of the head made by combine, and you will have more pixels. Matter of fact, if you go with drone in a set of satellite imagery, you will get a small pixels and more accurate yield map. As I mentioned, the problem is not how you generate the yield maps. The point is the inversion in different years should be considered all the time. You remember 2019 was a wet year, 2021 was almost dry year. Now, in right side up corner, you will see in 2019 the yield was low in this area. Same place in 2021 was high. Same place. So we have explanation for that. Yeah, for wet year, maybe lower spot area, denser soil, heavier soil, we have lower yield. Obvious. And in dry year, that problem, low drainage problem area, that problem become a winning point in 2021 to have higher yield. Similar, so you have other area that you can see it. So think about it, that these are the exaggerated area inversion, I call it, that you can see this one, seesaw year to year, like that. Think about it, that you have lots of inversion, point to point, pixel by pixel, that have like this a small inversion that you cannot see it. And those small changes would contribute to your yield without even we know it. How can we bring all of these to account? Some of area in your field, regardless of wet or dry year, you have higher yield, is relative higher yield. Means in 2019, that 120 bushels per acre might be highest level, but still that area will give you high. In 2021, maybe that higher yield was 160, but it was highest on that field for that year. So what are those areas? Those are the area that well drained with high potential yield, high nutrient, and imagine it will absorb the water in a dry year, act like a sponge. The water holding capacity is high, holding it, and it will return it back to crop. In a wet year, absorb the water, suck the water, and drain the excess amount, let it go. So that area of your field are acting, more with higher yield potential. Regardless which method we are using, if we do it correctly, we can use any of these methods or combination of the methods. Now, for our topic now here, for nitrogen, should we go flat rate or variable rate nitrogen application? So you heard that I used even variable rate. I didn't see any result. Yeah, I didn't see any result. And I want to go flat rate, or I don't have equipment to do variable rate. The point is here, look, all of us, we have to work on what we are doing, our practice, to do just little better, day by day. So even if you want to do flat rate, you do optimize flat rate. You go and get close to the right flat rate, which is good for that year. So if you look at the image here, that the height of the cylinder is the yield potential. So we have different yield potential. When we have different yield potential, if we target the highest level, that red color you see here, we are wasting our input nitrogen, for example, and we are not going to use it at all. Now, some would say, oh yeah, let's go and target lower rate. Then the yellow area, you are losing the opportunity that you could have higher yield, but you don't. Why? Because you targeted low yield potential, and nitrogen is limiting factor for other area. Variable rate application. Now, remember, we talk about the soil sampling. I have half of acre grade sampling. Can you give me right recommendation? Probably I can get close, but I cannot read the weather condition. I cannot predict, or I cannot get sense of all of the interactions of the mechanisms playing and contributing to yield by crop and environment. So which rate is optimized? It's tough call. We can get close, and sometimes we play just luck. Oh yeah, this year would be good. This year would be wet, dry. Now, these are the numbers that we have, and the facts we've seen. The left, these are two recommendations for one field for same year for nitrogen application. The left side is nitrogen recommendation based on all of the data we have soil yield recommendation. Means we have the yield maps, we have the soil, we have everything. The recommendation comes left side. The aerial imagery or crop-based nitrogen recommendation maps in right side says otherwise. Says the area you're calling for lowest nitrogen in red area, you know what? No, this year we are going to do well. Okay, I am a crop advisor. Should I listen to this? The chance of having this one, just like 2021 and 2019 inversion, could be right, could be high. What should I do here? Should I average it? Should I have the left side and right side, okay, mix them together and average it? So these are the questions that, and we want to address. Now the point is here, so for example here, that the area you have green here means high potential, and recommendation says, you know what, apply more nitrogen here. It says apply less here, the crop-based recommendation. So if I apply less here, maybe I lose opportunity. Or if I apply more nitrogen here, maybe I waste it because there is no potential. Is there a method that consider everything, including yield potential, including today in season, everything together, and help me to have right or precise or close to precise nitrogen recommendation? At SDSU, we developed biosensor rich spots for nitrogen management. How it works? We at planting, or even if you want to apply your nitrogen in the fall with a strip till, for example, while you are putting down your nitrogen for whole field, we split the application. The recommendation could go 50% starter and split the first application, and leave the 50% for in season to see and assess the situation and condition and crop needs, and then provide it, the other 50%. But in order to make it accurate and precise it, we put reference point for ourselves. How? So I am putting nitrogen here. With nitrogen application 50%, when I get to the spots, I call it biosensor rich spot, I spike the rate to 100%. We will discuss later that we have other methods and mitigation that for sure, even we are not going to lose any bit of that nitrogen on those spots. We will adjust it, the algorithm will adjust it in a way that we don't lose anything even on the spots. So we have 50% here, we get to the spot, we spike it to 100%, and we go back when we pass the spot, we will go back to, again, 50% back, again, 100% to spot, and so on and so forth, covering the field. So now, when we are talking about in season, means V6, V7, V8, which we want to put side dress down. In season, we can watch or assess these spots with around it and compare them and see what was the response or reaction to nitrogen. So the question is here, we don't need that much nitrogen all the way to V6, even if when we put 50%, why should we see the reaction? The answer is the interaction between crop and the environment. It will get the message. It will sense how much nitrogen is available, how with the osmosis pressure, so many things, it will realize that there are enough nitrogen. That's why when you have more nitrogen available, it will get darker. The green becomes darker. It will show it. If you are lower nitrogen, it's not going to hurt, but it will show when you have more. When it senses you have more nitrogen there, that means the planning for future, the vegetation, how much I'm going to build the canopy would change, means the message is different. I don't want to go to physiology, but here, when you see the response to nitrogen, it's just like you put the allergy test. With that, you will see, oh, you're allergic to pepper. How do you know that? Because it's reacted to pepper. So on that spot, compared to around it in this box, nothing has changed. It's same zone, the similar area. I put a spot. Now, the only change for that spot is level of nitrogen. When you see the differences, that means for me, translated to crops are screaming that, you know what, around, I'm talking crop around the spot, screaming that if you have given us the same amount of nitrogen you gave to that spot, we would have done better. We would have done just like that spot. So we are capable to do that. We demand for nitrogen. One question here. If we don't see response, that means we don't need to apply nitrogen? The answer is no. Because the answer is it's not like that. Because we may have yield potential and we have enough nitrogen available now, but later in long run, we need to have more nitrogen for that area. So we need an algorithm to have all of these parameters to account and give us rate. So to summarize, we look at the middle spot, we compare it around, we have different indices and algorithm, and again, I recap this one. We have zones, we put spots, we compare them, and with aerial imagery, we read the response. We read the reaction to nitrogen. How to put those spots? When we have zones, we will put the spots in a way that representing that zone. Because later we are going to compare them. It should be comparing apple with apple. And when we have that one, I have example here. In left side, we designed the prescription map for spots. And in right side, the prescription end map as applied. And farmer wanted to do that strip to see how our system works. Is it just like if I add more nitrogen, you will get higher yield or no? So you can see here the biosensor reaches spots and corresponding crop responds to nitrogen in right and left side. When you have nitrogen, some of the spots will respond more, higher, better, react more. Some of them no. And it's obvious. Why? Because those which are not responding, sending this message, I don't care about nitrogen. Why? Because I have enough. This could be one reason. Another is the nitrogen is not my limiting factor. Now, I ask, the question for myself was, can we have all of the parameters in account that considering the yield potential, considering all of the in-season observation we have here to account, and then write prescription map. And here, the algorithm we have, considering this, we have lots of fields on farm research that we are doing this in South Dakota. And we have the area and the zones area, the size, and NDVI in, out, growth rate, coefficient of NDVI. These are the parameters that we put into equation. This is only calculator. Yield potential has something to say here. Influence of yield potential for that year is something to say. Coefficient of yield potential for that year and compared to the previous years means, is it fluctuating all the time? It has to say, it has weight on it. One thing I can explain here, this number is the number that, let's say you always had flat rate application and you want to say, you know what, I am going to put only this much nitrogen for this field. I want to, okay, give me your recommendation. Okay, recommendation is, let's say 10,000 bushels. You know what, I am going to cut 20% of that one, 10,000 pounds. I am going to cut 20% of that and then distribute that 80% over my field. We can do that. And this system can do that. So with that, I want to go to result, what we have seen so far. We have done this one for 4 years, and the result always been amazing. And we are working on it to improve it a little more. So in different area, means we have Brestford, close to Pipestone, Kingberry County, the other close to Aberdeen. So we have lots of different diverse locations that we have this system, biosensor rich spot method, and we test it against historical. And when we are talking about historical yield, it means we check with sensor-based, means EC and soil sampling recommendation, and even aerial imagery. And in this image, this slide, you will see we have 60, close to 779, which these two are outliers. So we delete this one because we don't want to drag the historical yield lower number and then compare, oh yeah, we are happy because we increase. No. So we delete those outliers. And in 2024, we wanted to see if the effect of year is favorable to increasing yield or no. Apparently for that field was not higher because the average was 153 and that year was 148 because of many reasons. And biosensor rich spot suggested 21% higher yield increase for that year, the method we use. Now, the point is, when we have suggestion of higher yield, I don't jump to conclusion that, oh yeah, this is for that method. No, we have to repeat it. Maybe it's for that method for that year. Let's do it next year and again and again and again for different practices to see if that's true. So We compare the zones with conventional methods. Again, we saw the same result. Now, last year, 2025, that was 2024. We had a field close to Aberdeen. The average yield is 117. So we exclude that one because we consider it outlier, is not acceptable, 2006. And now the average with excluding that one is close to 124. And this year was the yield was 163. And of course, we can see the effect of year, right? The effect of year is there. But the point is, I have to calculate the effect of year. It was not available for this county yet, but we have effect of year for Kingsbury County, and we calculated to see how much really this method increased the yield. This method increased the yield compared to all even record high, which was 2019, 142. It is way higher. It suggests 30% higher yield. The question is this 30% higher yield related to the method only? Probably not. And the answer is no, because some of that 30% is related to the practice, the attention even, the maybe things, because we did on-farm research, things were different. And also the effect of year. So I have the N nitrogen recommended by biosensor reach spot in left side and the plots inside that prescription map and the yield map of 2025 of that field. So you can see here the similarity of our application. So where we apply or suggested to apply more nitrogen, you can see higher yield. I want you pay attention to these plot rates. We wanted to check if the system we are using is correct or not. Means how correct, how accurate, how precise is the method. So if we put plots, our plots, frankly, are not few feet, 20 feet by 50 feet. To go and with hand take the material with lots of error, measure it, and oh yeah, we got this much higher yield. It was not like that. Each plot sized 1.18 acres. That means everything would be similar. You don't need to go disturb around. And the number you get is all with machine. So with that, we minimize the error of human or bias in reading the numbers. So here we have the zone level yield and N nitrogen application breakdown. In zone number 1, the recommendation was by the method, by that nitrogen rich spot, was 173 pounds of nitrogen per acre based on the coefficient of the 1 pound of nitrogen for 1 bushel of corn. The optimum rate was 186 pounds of nitrogen. That means the yield was 160 bushel per acre for zone number 1. So the green box is the nitrogen needed for 1 pound for 1 bushel. That means that is optimized, means comes from that year yield. The blue box is recommendation by the system. The red dotted line is the applied nitrogen by farmers because he wanted to apply 21% less. And between the blue and red is the gap. For all of the zones, we under apply. Means farmer under apply. But our rates were so close. 173, 186, 150, 158. Only for one zone, 130, 164. This one, we had big gap. And also the zone. But the point is, these big gaps, zone 4, zone 3, when we go there, it's not significant. Means we don't know if it is statistically meaningful for us or not. So with that, we came to this conclusion why we are off sometime. Of course, we are very accurate, right to the point. We are suggesting correct number or precise nitrogen application because we sense crop, we get response from crop, the message, the signal coming from the biosensor spots, but why sometimes we are off? And for example, here in another field, in zone number 1, we have considering 40 pounds of credit plus 150, which our recommendation, it would be, higher yield, perfect. Here, zone number 2, 40 pounds plus 142, we will have the highest yield. Our application was here. No, we are not perfect. We are off. Zone number 3, we are okay. Zone number 4, we are okay. But zone number 2, we were off. We were off and we under apply. Why? Now we get to this system that from uniform to reality, mapping of soybean and credit variability. What does that mean? So far, we have 40 pounds of credit. We're considering 35 to 40 pounds of nitrogen credit for soybean or legumes. Flat rate. Why? Is field the same? The answer is no. Then why we are going to put 35 to 40 only? It means flat. We have lots of other tools to measure that one. How much for this zone? How much for that one? Is it easy? No, it's not easy. It's difficult. Is it related to only yield? No, it's not. Higher yield, maybe even lower end credit. We don't know. We don't know. How can we know it? Is there any measure? Is there any method to do that? We'll get there. So because we were off over there for zone number 2, we started digging. What's happening? What happened that we are off? And it was right there. Zone number 2 suggesting we have this is part of zone number 2. We check the application we are accurate or precise, and we were the error, there was no error, additional error, human error. So we got to level that. Let's look at the aerial imagery for soil, and right there we see the area that stream, or this right side is elevation map, and the lines you see there is a stream of water movement. That area suggests that we are suspect that the denitrification happened there. Of course, we soil sample it, and we are working on it. Uptakeable nitrogen there was less. That means the end credit we put there was not 40 pounds. So we have to consider that. So again, why use a variable end credit map instead of a flat rate important? So consider that the price of nitrogen and today corn, 1 pound of nitrogen for 1 bushel of corn, if the end credit in a state of 40, 1 bushel of nitrogen for 1 bushel of corn, if the end credit in a state of 40 is 1 pound of nitrogen for 1 bushel of corn, if the end credit in a state of 40 is 1 bushel of nitrogen for 1 bushel of corn, if the end credit in a state of 40 is 1 pound of nitrogen for 1 bushel of corn, if the end credit in a state of 40 is 1 pound of nitrogen for 1 bushel of corn, if the end credit in a state of 40 is 1 pound of nitrogen for 1 bushel of corn, if the end credit in a state of 40 is 1 pound of nitrogen for 1 bushel of corn, if the end credit in a state of 40 is 1 pound of nitrogen for 1 bushel of corn, if the end credit in a state of 40 is 1 pound of nitrogen for 1 bushel of corn, if the end credit in a state of 40 is 1 pound of nitrogen for 1 bushel of corn, if the end credit in a state of 40 is 1 pound of nitrogen for is 25, means short by 15 pounds, you are going to lose 15 bushel per acre of corn. With simple math, you are losing revenue of $60, close to $60. And with considering putting enough nitrogen to fulfill that need, still you can make close to $50 there. So variable N credit map for soybean and legumes can suggest zone-specific N credit instead of a flat rate. So the question was for myself, should I go through modeling and how can I do it? How can I find a way that farmers can get that N credit variability that I am talking about and consider how much they should put for soybean N credit? And here is my idea here that we are going to work on it, and we are working on it, is similar to enrich spot. This time the yellow dots, null spot, means no nitrogen at all. So how it works? So we are planting again similar to same system. We are going to add this system to our algorithm that, look here, we are working to put 50% upfront, right? Or in the fall. Even if you do a strip till in the fall and you want to do this. So 50%, get here 100%, get to the null 0, 0, keep it 0. Again, 50%, get to spot 100%. So with these spots, you have high rate, the application of you want to put the starter, 50%, and 0. Now you have 3 levels to compare. That null spot, 0 spot, would suggest how much nitrogen is available, how much uptakeable, not just nitrogen available, uptakeable. And this is very valuable piece in our method or mechanism or algorithm that we are going to develop to have recommendations. We have lots of field suggested higher yield. Only we had one county that we have average of county and all the information to report it now. We are going to do it for all the counties that we have. But now here, we have the average of county in orange, average of the field over years from 2009 to 2025 last year in blue. 2025 suggested the county yield increased by 12%. Same time, 2025, the field yield increased by 36%. So the question is, again, I want to emphasize this. Is this 30% is related to that method only? No, because the effect of year is for everybody. Some of that, at least 12% of that 30% is related to the effect of year, means favorability and all the conditions was better. At least some of that may go to other reasons. We are going to put more information there to see how much of that 36% is related to biosensor rich spot. So this is the average of counties, not much different, but all of a sudden this year, the yield increase was 36% higher. So it suggests 24% higher yield, excluding that 12%. And the impacts. Over years, we've seen really good results. A realistic 15% of nitrogen use efficiency optimization. I don't want to recommend to apply less nitrogen or more. It's optimization. It would suggest close to $2 billion nationwide saving just nitrogen for corn. And if we adopt the system we are working right now, with the result or background of a dry year, which the system didn't do well, and we improve it over time, it will suggest in lowest rate close to $7 billion, or in high yield increase, close to $15 billion yield or revenue increase nationwide if adopted 100%, fully adopted. 10% of that number is related to South Dakota. And we are working with an AI company to make this platform and make it easier for farmers. And I would request you guys, if you are interested, and please reach out, and we would love to work with you. And I would like to thank my team and my graduate students helping me to make this one happen for South Dakota farmers. Thank you very much for your attention to and attending this webinar, and I'll take your questions. Thanks.
Ali, there is one in the Q&A. I'll read you the question. How often do you recommend to soil test? Every other year? Every 3 years?
So this is really good question. The recommendation for soil test is not every year. If you don't do major change, every 3-4 years is enough. If you don't do major change, but soil test depends for what reason you are doing soil test. If you want to do the residue nitrogen, means okay, I apply nitrogen for corn, I want to see how I did it, what was the result. Yes, every time, in the fall, you can go back and see how much nitrogen remained there, and check your application and your practice. I'm not talking about that. If you don't do major change and you have other parameters or other methods intact that help you to measure how much nitrogen you are going to apply, like aerial imagery, like this biosensor. No, every 3-4 years is enough for major change, because soil test, like EC, is static. Static means it will not change over time just like that, if you will. Any other questions?
So I'd just like to open it up in case anybody else has any questions. Feel free to use the Q&A feature.
Yes, and I add again, we are working with farmers that and would request them, if please reach out for this system we are working right now and other systems. We have cutting edge technologies that we are working on, and please reach out. We would love to work with you.
Just take the time to remind you, If you need to purchase CCA credits, you'll find that link in the chat. Otherwise, you'll be receiving an email from us at the end of the week. So just be watching for that, just to kind of help
Did-
us evaluate our crop hour program and our precision ag week, if you will. And then if you've missed a session, whether it's this week or any other week, you can find those sessions on our crop hour webpage or on our YouTube channel. So they're all available for watching of that recording. Okay, Ellie, we have another question.
Okay.
Is there a typical nitrogen residual increase after soybeans when inoculated at planting? And this is assuming a corn-soy rotation.
So inoculation happened that showing or suggesting the microbial activity and fixation increase. So now, is it increase residual increase? Probably yes. But after corn, if we do it correctly, means if we provide nitrogen not too much, if we do it correctly, we should not increase the residual nitrogen. But if we just pour nitrogen, of course, the residual nitrogen would increase. Is there any other question?
Any other questions? If not, we want to thank you for tuning into today's crop hour session. Encourage you, if you have follow-up questions, to email Dr. Nafchi. With any of them that would remain, he'd be happy to answer them. And it sounds like he's always looking for folks to work with. So please feel free to reach out to him if that is of something of interest. But again, just want to thank you for tuning in this week, and we'll see you tomorrow for another session of Precision Ag Week. So thank you so
Thank you very
much.
much. Thank you, Connie.